This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Everybody, my name is Karen. Thanks for tuning in. This is a conversation with Karen. Obviously, I'm Karen. And we got some interesting guests today. But before we get into our guests, I wanted to tell you about an event that's coming up in Tiverton. Hopefully, you'll see this before it's over because it runs for Valentine weekend, the whole weekend. And there's a lot of stuff coming up, and it's put on by the Tiverton Agricultural Society, the Lions, the firemen, and they've got so much stuff going on. It's so much fun. They right from February 14th on that day, it's a games night for the family. They have kids doing crafts and that. Saturday, they've got a pancake breakfast sponsored by the firemen. Tiverton Thunder Road Hockey Tournament. We got dog sled rides this year, which is I'm really looking forward to that. Winter story time, snow sculpture contest. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a sculpture. Hot dogs and chocolate. There's euchre, cornhole, mega bingo. Let's see, worship service they'll have, a skating party, horse-drawn wagon rides. Nice if it was on a cutter. Wouldn't that be something on a cutter? And they had a spaghetti dinner. So there's lots going on, and it's the whole weekend, starting on the 14th, unless you're going to be doing a sculpture that you got to do that before. So it's a whole weekend. So try to get out. It'll be fun. I mean, we're stuck with this snow. Let's do something good with it because I'm getting sick of looking at it, and I'm starting to hate it. So this way you get out there, you'll start feeling better about it, and it's a whole family. So make sure you check that out. So we have our guest, a returning guest. I'm always so happy to see you guys. It's Rachel and Allison. They're from the Paranormal Seekers. They were on about a year ago, right, Rachel?
We sure were. Yeah, literally a year ago. Yeah,
about a year ago.
Yeah.
And they're in a different region. They're not here, but we still want to hear what goes on. They're from the Oshawa area. We're going to try and get them to come out this way. We keep saying, come on out this way, because there's got to be a lot of good places around here that you could have fun.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you guys been doing this?
So now we're going into our 21st year.
Wow.
Yeah. So founded the team in 2004.
Wow.
So yeah, 21 years we've been doing this. So we're still going.
Some interesting things that happen.
Oh yeah. We've had a lot of interesting things in the last 21 years.
Yeah.
Even in the last year, we've had a lot of interesting things.
I would think, yeah. Now, do you do mostly places that you already heard are haunted, like old buildings and stuff, or do you do personal ones, like private ones, homes, like residents where they think something's going on?
Yeah, so we do both. So our team specializes in historic locations. So we do specialize in museums, national historic sites, locations that have significant historical interest. But we will also do private residents. They're just a little more, we go through them a little more carefully. We do a lot more interviews because sometimes a lot of people want their house to be haunted, but it's not. So we have to be very careful with how we tread on that. Because also too, sometimes if someone doesn't get the answer that they want, they might just go looking for it somewhere else. So we want to try to cover our bases with the private residents as much as we can and make sure we're providing that service that will benefit everyone.
Now, do you find many residences that do have hauntings? Or is it mostly historical buildings? I would imagine it's mostly historical buildings, right?
For us, yeah, it's mostly historical. Now, there's lots of private residents that can be haunted. There's tons, and sometimes it is historical. So really,
it could be like a house that's historical, and not necessarily historical society type thing. It's been around for a long time. Things have happened. Like in Kincardine here, we have. We call it Madison House, and it's supposed to be very, very haunted because it used to be a funeral parlor. It used to be all kinds of things. We've heard so many stories about it, and they were on the website for Canada's Most Haunted at one time, but I don't think anything goes on there now. But it's apparently it's supposed to be haunted. Nothing happens now. I don't even know if anyone's living in the building.
Oh.
It was a restaurant at one time too. But we've got a lot of places like that here, being a town that's right on the water. It was so a lot of the homes here are very historical. And I would imagine there's lots going on here when it comes to, that's why I want you guys to come out this way.
We're gonna try. We're gonna try to come out that way, especially this summer.
There's a lot coming out this way. Even like Owen Sound area, because it is a port for so many years.
Yep.
Now, when you have people wanting to residential places, we'll say, now you're saying that a lot of times they want it to be haunted, or they think it is, and it can be debunked. That's the term they use. It can be debunked. Have you found many that actually are haunted?
We have found a few, yeah, for sure. And a lot of the times it's just former residents or landowners who just want to be remembered for who they were. They want their stories still shared. So a lot of it is just, giving back the names of those who have long since passed and kind of sharing their story again, kind of keeping them in the forefront. And usually with that, they're pretty happy and the activity stops.
Yeah, I would imagine that. They just want to be heard. Like, this was my house, so take care of it. And now, do you ever find where there's people bring things into their homes that are haunted? Because that's what they say. A lot of people can bring stuff in that's got something with them.
Yeah.
And I heard that because I was really into antiques and stuff. And I know that that's where you can bring things in, isn't it?
Oh yeah. We used to joke around that going to antique shops was going to buy a ghost. You just never know. But yes, items can carry energies which can be brought around wherever. So it definitely could be something that was brought into the house that has an energy. So you never know. But those are a little harder to figure out unless you know exactly where that piece of whatever came from.
Like
and you can, and then you know exactly who used to own it or who may have played on it, all that kind of stuff. But if it was just some like random armoire, it's a little harder.
Or something they didn't even think about, something small.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even think about that.
Nope.
The other thing that is dolls. I mean, they're creepy.
Yeah.
I kind of like some dolls, but they're creepy. I would not be buying an old doll and bringing it home. To me, that's just, you're gonna.
I won't say anything because I have a whole bunch of those, but
Yeah, that's the sort of thing that would scare me, is bringing home a doll that might be, you might see it move in the corner or something. At work, as you know, I work in a retirement home. When one of our residents passed away, her family gave us a doll that she had, and she had named it after her daughter that had passed away. And of course, when she gave us the doll, I went out and bought all kinds of clothes for this doll. And a lot of the staff said, "Oh my God, you got what's her name? That haunted doll."
Oh, Annabelle?
Yeah. She's here. And he said, "I'll dress her up for every occasion. Like, she's got a Valentine outfit on right now." And they walk by and they just like, "Oh, geez, that doll, it creeps me out." In fact, when we were doing our COVID shots, I dressed her up like a nurse.
Oh my gosh.
I hated it. I said, "No, she's part of it too." But yeah, it's true. It could be a haunting thing, but I mean, where I am, I get all kinds of weird things that go on. Retirement home where people have passed away. When I'm working nights, I have a room that's very close to where I'm working, and the call bell keeps going off. And I'll go in there to see what's wrong, and they're sleeping. And it'll go off like 5 times in a row, to the point where I'm not going to look anymore.
Yeah.
There's something weird going on. So, you have things like that.
Yeah.
Places like that, I would imagine. Anything like a funeral home, homes must be. And I don't think it's necessarily where people have the best time of their life, because that's what they say sometimes. It's a place that they enjoy. But I don't think it's not necessarily that, because I mean, a lot of people aren't going to enjoy being in a retirement home as they get older and that, So what makes them come back to some of these places? Unfinished business?
Yeah, unfinished business. They like the place. They like the people. Their friends are there. Their family's there.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of different reasons.
Yeah, it's interesting to know, what could possibly be why they would come back.
Yeah.
Or, well, of course, there's the residual and there's the intelligent haunting, right? The
Yes.
residual one is, okay, tell me if I got this right. Residual is when it's just like a movie playing over and over. And the intelligent is when you talk to it and it answers you back.
You got it.
Okay, so what's some of the equipment that you have? I watch all these shows, obviously. So what's some of the equipment that you use?
Oh my gosh, what don't we have? So we
Yeah.
have pretty much anything you see on TV, we pretty much have.
Oh,
So we've got REM pods, K2 meters, we've got the music box, the dead bell, we've got the SLS camera, we've got Boo Buddy, we have tripwire lights.
do you have that when you're blindfolded and you have the
Yeah, we have all that stuff to do the Estes method. We actually
yeah.
also, one of our team member, Ryan, he's got a VR set that is set up to project photos or
Yeah.
pictures. So when we are doing Estes methods, he'll if he's doing it, he'll like put it on and then he will describe the videos that or the pictures that he sees coming through to him through the VR. And it's actually kind of really, really interesting because we went to the Beck House in Penetanguishene
Yeah.
last year, so September, and he was like sitting there and he's like, oh my gosh, he's like, okay, so I'm seeing like these men at a table. There's four men on one side, one man on the other. He's got a woman standing behind him. He's like, and he's describing his, facial hair. And I'm like, well, that sounds like Mr. Beck.
Wow.
So it was kind of pretty,
They
yeah.
have a lot going on up there.
Oh yeah.
Okay. That's where, well, my ancestors, they all came up to Penetanguishene. A lot of them are still there. Because that's, I don't know, it was the route they took or something. Okay, I have to tell you guys, Allison is here. Hi, Allison. She was late getting on.
Hello. Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Chauffeur duties.
Nope,
Exams are over. I totally forgot we had Muay Thai from 7 to 8:30.
Nice to have you here. They're just
Thank
saying
you.
it was about a year ago when you were here last time. And I imagine you've had some really good stuff in the last year. Of course, you can't tell us a lot of the places, which I understand, unless they're places like in Hamilton, there's a Hermitage, places like that. It's okay, my dog's right now. Oh, no, she's gone. Yeah, places like that. What are some of the exciting things you have done in the last year? Gotta be some good ones.
Oh,
The Wellington Museum and Archives was like our first one of last year of 2024. We headed out there January.
mhm.
That was fascinating. We picked up a ghosty groupie, and so Adam Parker, who was, I think, if not the original one, there were a couple that took care of the poorhouse or took care of it when it was what it was. So he still shows up from time to time, especially when we're doing the Estes method, to let us know he's there. So that one was really cool, and we had a significant amount of public events. So those are typically places we've been to before, and then we host public events. So basically from I think May until October,
Mhm.
we were hosting some type of public events.
Yeah.
And so we've had, there's so many, it's a blur.
I think we had one almost every month. I think we averaged an investigation every month.
There are so many places that you can investigate because it helps with your investigation tools. I mean, like I said, I watch all these programs for paranormal and cryptozoology. I watch all that stuff. So it's very interesting, some of the things they use. But that was one of the ones where they blindfold and the Estes.
Mhm.
Estes.
The
I
Estes, yeah.
really think that is something neat because
It's even neater when you have two people doing it at the same time and they got no idea what each other's saying and they're literally arguing with each other It was pretty funny.
So up in Penetanguishene, that was the place. What was it called? Wells?
The Beck House. We went to the Beck House. Yeah.
And it's a common place that people have investigated before?
It is. It is. It is actually an Airbnb. So Brenda is the wonderful owner of the whole building. So she lives on the bottom floor, and there's a couple apartments. But the top floor, which is the most haunted floor, they've got two apartments, apartment 302 and 301, that you could rent out, and you could spend the night there and maybe have a paranormal experience or not.
That way.
But yeah, no, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So anyone can go as long as it's open and free. You're more than welcome to book it.
Now, that particular ghost spirit, because they are the same thing, right? Is it like a friendly one where people aren't afraid of it? It's just something that goes on that they see all the time?
It really depends on who you are and how you're treating the whole situation. Right? So Mr. Beck can be a real hard man to win over if you're kind of being a bit of a jerk yourself, right?
Yeah.
But if you're going in there with the good intention of finding out history and learning some stuff, they're very open to discussing it with you. It's got a weird feel for some of it sometimes. Like you just feel weird.
Yeah, I guess it's how you view it too, because some people think that spirits or ghosts are always bad, and sometimes they're not. They just want to be heard, like you said. You know, they just want to tell you that, yeah, I'm here. Please talk to me. Now, have you ever seen the movie The Others with Nicole Kidman? Have you ever seen that?
I've heard of it. I don't watch movies like that because I find them too fake. I do the real thing. I don't need to watch the fake stuff.
It's quite interesting because they're as they are until something happens and you wait a second, we're the dead people here. They're thinking the house is haunted, but they're the ones that are haunting it. It's a pretty good movie. It's one of those ones where at the end it gets you, like some of these other ones. I can't think of the name, but they're interesting because you're thinking that these are people living in a haunted house, and you realize no, they're the haunted ones. They're tormenting everybody else.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good that way. Now, have you ever come across an angry spirit where they're being okay, for instance, touching people, like scratches and things like that?
Oh yeah. We have.
That's the kind of stuff that would be, of course, like the Sally house.
Oh, that's a place I'd like to go to.
Yeah, and that's a place that, I think that's a pretty scary place.
I don't know if Allison would go there. No. So we actually went to the Hinsdale house in Hinsdale, New York in July of last year. And that's a place Allison won't go back to. So I darn well know she won't go back to that place. She's not going to the Sally house.
Yeah, I know the Sally house is pretty bad. There was another one, I think it was more down near California. And it was pretty scary. I don't even remember the name of it, but it was another one that was pretty scary. A lot of things went on, and they had a lot of proof or pictures, which hopefully are good proof, because you hate to think that people are fabricating things just for the attention. But I know Sally House, I guess people have really had some bad experiences there.
Oh yeah.
Not a place that I would want to go. As much as I would like to go to a haunted house and just see what goes on.
Yeah.
A place I don't want to be there. I don't want to go there. That's a pretty scary place. And that's an angry spirit there. Even though
that is.
Good.
It is.
So some of the ones you have seen, the angry ones, have they touched people like scratches and things like that?
Yeah, we've had some interactions where we've had team members were scratched, poked. Allison was grabbed at one point. I don't know if that was angry or more of an attention-getting behavior.
Yeah.
But it definitely left its mark.
Oh, yeah, that would make you jump out of your skin, I would think. Are you still afraid of this, Allison? But it keeps
No,
going back.
no. So for me, like I have never felt that they're trying to get my attention out of anger or to hurt me. Yes, bruises have been left. Yes, scratches have happened, but it didn't feel malicious. The Beck House, we've been there twice now. And the first time there, we were filming for Haunted Ontario.
Oh,
And you hear me say, like, oh, like someone, a child, just grabbed my arm. And like it didn't hurt, but it was like somebody low. We were sitting at the table, grabbed my arm. And then the very next morning, sure enough, I had a perfect bruised thumb and 4 fingers, child size, in my arm. So, and then when we went back in September, one of the very first things I heard was the children laughing. So they connected with me, right? They often will play with our hair, touch me on the back of my neck, almost like like a boop boop, or sort of play with our hair. It feels like fingers kind of running down your hair. So those are blissfully more of the encounters I've had. So I don't personally feel it is malicious. It's just how their energy shows on my body. Somebody else might have been grabbed and not bruised, but for me, I've always been an easy bruiser, right? So, it didn't feel like a human grabbing me. Yeah.
Yeah. If you have a feeling it's a child, although they can masquerade as children.
And that's what happened with the Hinsdale house.
Yeah.
Something very bad came home.
Yeah. And okay, now, so what sort of things did you find there that were very interesting or would shock you?
At Hinsdale?
I was adamant somebody drowned in the pond and nobody listened to me but Ryan. And Ryan, sure as shooting, ended up finding that there was somebody that drowned on the property on record. So I was happy about that.
Now, do you have psychics go with you sometimes or people that are sensitive?
Yeah, we like I'm one of the intuitives. We have a couple other intuitives on the team. So, we all picked up on the one window that we didn't like. I didn't want to go upstairs for the longest time, and a lot of really honky stuff happened up there. Others weren't affected. They all want to go back. It affected me very differently.
I went to bed until the screaming started.
Okay, so did you stay overnight at this place?
We did. So we had the building from like 7 p.m. until 10 a.m.
Yeah.
So I just went to sleep on the couch. Now I was sleeping perfectly fine until there was a whole bunch of screaming. And I'm thinking, and I crack my eye open thinking I missed like the most incredible apparition or something. And it turns out there was a bat in the house.
Oh, geez.
A pterodactyl sized bat, I will have you know.
That's a good one. That would scare you. I'm sure that would scare you seeing something like that because you're already on edge thinking that something's going to happen.
Well, and it was also dark in there. We had the lights out. So
and everybody but Rachel was finally settling down for the night when all of a sudden what should appear? What's that? What's that? It's a bat! So yeah, it was great.
And it wasn't real bad. It wasn't a ghost.
It was a real brown, scary pterodactyl sized bat.
Now, okay, there's something to do you ever have a spirit of an animal like a dog, a cat, something like that lived in a house? Have you ever had anything like that?
I've had experiences at my own houses, my apartments and stuff. When we first started, I had 2 brand new kittens and I thought they were intertwining in between my legs, and I looked down and they were asleep on the bed, and I could still feel it go, whatever it was going in between, like as I'm sitting at my computer desk, right? So yeah, I've definitely had those experiences.
I've had experiences, and I'm sure a lot of people do, where one of your pets has passed away, but you still feel them. Like a little dog I had, she always came to bed. And after she passed away, I thought for sure she was in bed with me. And I would tell her, if you're there, just cuddle up. I'm here, just cuddle up to me. So I'm sure a lot of people feel that way, that they're there. And they probably are in spirit, I would think, because that would be very hard for an animal to just leave, because they're so close to their owner.
Mhm.
That would be very hard for them. Now, you have the term entity and an inhuman entity. Okay, what is the difference between those two?
Well, inhuman definitely would mean that it was never a living human.
Then,
You'd be looking at something like that would you would classify as demon or something like that. Very rare do we come across that stuff. Very rare.
the other thing that always seems to, I always think about that it would scare me would be a shadow person. Because whenever I've seen things about shadow people, it scares the heck out of people when they see it, because it's just like, boom, there, a big black thing there.
I think with the shadow people, I think a lot of people are scared of them because there's no defining features, so you can't really tell what it is. And it's also dark, which people are also afraid of. But a lot of time we've seen shadow figures, and they're just the way that the ghost or spirit was able to manifest itself. May just be just the way that they were able to come across.
Yeah, I've always thought of them as being in between, not a real spirit. I don't know what yeah, it's hard to say. But it wasn't really a person at all. It's a spirit, but it wasn't a person that had passed away.
I would put that more towards a poltergeist than anything.
Yeah, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
When I see things about shadow people, it's always, it scares people, because it just sort of pops up all of a sudden, like, where did that thing come from?
Yeah.
And like you said, it's dark. It's a dark figure. So and it just sort of does pop up. So it would scare you, I would think. And I've always thought of them as being scary. Okay, now elemental. That's a term you hear all the time with paranormal. What's elemental mean?
Well, an elemental is it's like a nature spirit or a native spirit to the land. So this is where you're going to look for your fairies, your gnomes, your trolls, your leprechauns. Those would all be considered elemental.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that could be a lot of, like you said, native land. It would be things like that, because natives are very in tune to this sort of thing. I mean, they've seen and things that a lot of paranormal people find, or when they investigate, they find these, and the natives are like, oh yeah, they've been around forever, no big deal. We know they're there, and they know, and they've heard from their ancestors too. And I think majority of people have been programmed not to believe in this sort of stuff. Like it's almost like a religious thing.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to believe in ghosts.
And Tippy agrees.
No, there's somebody that has the nerve to walk their dog on the road in front of our house.
Uh-oh.
So, the nerve.
Yeah, so some of these native spirit type things are pretty interesting, like you say, fairies and gnomes, things like that, because people don't think of them as being real. But I guess they are real in the sense that it's there. It's just not like us, like flesh and blood, right? I mean, fairies aren't a flesh and blood thing, I don't think. But who knows? Maybe it's how you see things too. Because, say, skinwalkers, they're supposed to take on different forms, and they're supposed to be spirits of some sort, but they take on different forms, right?
Yep.
That's kind of what they're like.
Yep.
Now,
like shapeshifters as well, right? Shapeshifters can sort of weave in and out.
Very native.
Yeah.
Native Americans think of a lot of that sort of thing, shapeshifters. Now, that's probably something that we don't see much of here, I would think. But then again, we do have a lot of land that was Aboriginal. And so there's probably a lot of that there that you just don't think of. Maybe because there's Aboriginal people living on those properties and they take it for granted. You know, it's
Maybe.
just what's there.
Yeah.
You know, quite possibly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on that we take for granted, where the natives, it's part of their culture and they know what it's there. So anyway, we got to take a quick break. Don't go away. Got more to come back. Okay. Oh, great, guys. Yeah, we got to take a little bit.
For me, the end was just the beginning. I felt I must come. If I did not come at once, it would be too late. And these places that are watered with the best blood of Canada might only be names and memories. I see it in the soldiers, the grief I know so intimately. And I will not abandon these men to it. The isolation wears on me. Slowly, the silence takes over, as if my heart has given out of air. I cannot talk. I can only paint.
For more than 2 years, Mary Ryder Hamilton painted the battlefields of the First World War, creating an unforgettable visual record of service and sacrifices at immense personal cost.
Hi, I'm Bruce McDonald, forward for the Owen Sound Attack. Rogers TV is the official broadcaster of the Owen Sound Attack. Catch all of our games live on Rogers TV, Georgian Bay.
Hi, I'm Carol Merton, host of HealthLink on Rogers TV. HealthLink connects home, community, and healthcare with interesting topics and speakers about your health and your community.
Okay, welcome back. We're talking about paranormal seekers. Now, something that Allison and Rachel are, I guess, of paranormal seekers. Something I was going to ask you about. Do you ever get into the cryptozoology type of thing? Or is that really not? Because you see paranormal shows and they have cryptozoology, like the Bigfoots and stuff like that. I don't think we have any kind of Bigfoot around here.
We've never hunted for Bigfoot, but you never know.
That, is it real or isn't it?
Yeah, you just never know.
No, you don't. Of course, I live near the nuclear plant, and I remember a few years ago, somebody found a frog, and its eyes were in its mouth. Its mouth was open, and the eyes were inside. And this is so weird. Like, this is weird. But then again, we live near a nuclear plant. I don't know whether it means anything or not, but that's something I've often wondered about, because a lot of paranormal investigators get into the things like the Bigfoot and just those type of things. That's not something you guys, because we don't really have that around here, do we?
Not particularly. Like, it's
out west.
You're looking in mountain ranges, right? Like they're much more prominent in very, very dense forests and mountain ranges.
Yeah, I would imagine out west is where I think they said Alberta, they have a lot of sightings of.
We'd have to go to like New Brunswick too. We have to go to the Appalachian Mountain area, where it comes through if we really wanted to go Bigfoot hunting.
Yeah, I don't know that I would want to come across one of those guys.
No,
they're big. They got big feet, but they're big. And I have to tell you this story. Last year, I was leaving to go to work, went down my driveway, it was winter, and I saw these big footprints. And I got out of the car, and you could see the toes. And I put my foot up against it and took a picture. I thought, what the heck? It belongs to this big foot. And my husband figured it out. There were snowshoes. But it looked like it could have been a big foot. Yeah. It was so big. I thought, there's no here. Who's playing this trick on me? And they went right around our house in the snow, right past the bedroom windows. And, me thinking it's some sort of animal. But, oh my God, it walked right past our house, right past our windows. And I was, those are snowshoes. So many people are thinking that when they see these big prints, they're snowshoes.
Yeah.
Now, something interesting is disembodied voices. You must get a lot of those on your tape, I would think.
We do.
How they're communicating with you.
Yeah, so EVP, so electronic voice phenomenon, is the attempt to capture, voices of spirits and ghosts on audio recording. So we do tend to get a fair bit of voices. Some we can understand clear as day, and some
Yeah.
of them we can't understand at all. So we're not quite sure what they're saying, but
Yeah.
yeah, we've definitely had a few.
Now, that to me is one of the things that, well, I guess that and apparitions where you tend to believe it more because
Mhm.
you're hearing these voices and you hear exactly what they're saying and there's nobody else there.
Mhm.
What could it be? Or when you hear a piano playing and there's nobody there, no piano even there. I mean, like that would make you think that this is real stuff.
It can really, really make you think about the situation at hand and what's going on.
Last year, I have trail cams up because I love watching the wildlife. And on one of the videos, there was like, I figured out what it was, but at the time, it spooked me. And it was two orbs, one like that. And there was a line going between them, and they kept going up and down and up and down. And I was saying, what is that? It stumped me. I sent it to my family members. What do you think this is? I finally figured it out. This is something that some people might think is paranormal, and it's not. It was a spider web, and it was just attached to things, but it happened to have like an orb-like look at each end. And it was going up and down. It had me convinced that it was something paranormal. Now I finally figured it out. Oh, how stupid am I? Thinking that is something spooky down there, and it's just a big spider web that went from one tree to the next. So I think a lot of people would misinterpret things because they want to believe that it's something like that. Or there's a lot of people who don't want to believe what it is.
That's true.
Where I work, I think I told you about this before. I have seen the same room where that beeper keeps going off. I have seen, I'm convinced that room is haunted because I'm there at night. I'm sitting very close to that room. It's not one of the rooms that I'm taking care of, but it's right next to it. And the beeper goes off, nobody's there. They're sound asleep. The call bell hasn't been pulled. And I'm positive a couple times I've seen a shadow go in there. Just walking in there, and it's startled me. I think, okay, was I dreaming? Was I falling asleep and I saw this? But it's happened so many times in that room. And it makes me wonder if somebody that passed away in that room has come back to, check things out, see if everybody's taking care of their room. And another one, I don't know if I talked about this. We had a couple, and she collected safety pins. They were everywhere in her room or on her clothes. When they passed away, somebody else moved into that room, and I was finding safety pins all the time. Everywhere I looked, there were safety pins. And the new woman that was in there didn't have anything to do with these safety pins, but they were there. They were there at like every time you go in, you find one somewhere. Okay, it's her. She's back. She's got these darn safety pins. Did she come and looking for them? So things like that are enough to make people realize that there are things going on that would make you believe that that's what it is. Things like that. Like they say, when you find pennies or something like that, it's supposed to be
Pennies from the dead. Yeah, pennies from heaven.
Yeah, pennies from heaven. That's what they say, right? Now, on the subject of orbs, there are a lot of orbs that are mistaken, I think, for paranormal, because it would just be moisture in the air, correct?
So yeah, there could be there's hundreds of different explanations for what an orb could be. You've got moisture in the air, you've got dust, you've got dander, you've got hair, bugs,
spider webs.
Yeah. Wow. Surround sound. But yeah, there's light refraction, sunspots, it's so, there's so many different things that could be an orb.
Yeah.
That you really have to be careful when you're posting, and you can't just automatically jump to that it's a spirit orb,
Yeah.
because 99% of the time it's not.
Yeah. I guess the ones that would make you think is when you see them move in an odd way. I guess, like just changing directions real quick, or just things like that, I would think. Or in a place where you wouldn't think of moisture. Outside, yes. Outside, you would think that way. But in the house, yeah, there's dust. But there are some orbs that are definitely orbs.
Yeah.
Dust, I would think, when you
Oh, yeah.
see some of them. And now, have you guys caught them on camera too? Or have you seen them visually, just without the camera?
I have seen some visually without the camera.
Yeah.
And people are capable of seeing them without a camera, with a flash or anything like that.
Yeah.
But for us, with a lot of orb photos, is we like really take a good look at it, and if we can't figure it out as to, okay, it's going to be this, or it'll be this, or it's going to be this, we will post it and ask people to be like, hey, what do you think? What do you think this is? It's very hard for us just to post a photo of an orb and be like, yo, it's a ghost.
Yeah, orbs are a thing that, I mean, I used to, when I was first really getting into this, orbs were like, oh my God, it's an orb, so it's got to be a spirit. But the more I, looked into the paranormal, I realized, a lot of times those orbs are not really anything but dust or whatever is in there. It's and I think a lot of people mistake orbs for something they aren't.
Yeah. My easiest thing to tell people is, take a loose piece of hair that, off your shirt, and go put it in the bathtub and look at the reflection and the shadow that it creates in the bathtub when it's filled with water. Because I bet you that looks like an orb.
Yeah, and well, like my spider web orbs.
Yeah.
And I've seen it a few times. And it's funny because I always watch Paranormal Caught on Camera, because I like to actually see what people are sending in, because I tend to believe more of that, because it's, caught unexpected. And somebody had sent in almost the same idea, like my spider web orbs, and it was almost the same thing. And I remember thinking, that's a spider web orb. It's a spider web. It's got nothing to do with ghosts. It's a spider. And but it definitely looked like it could have been something. I know when I sent the video to my family members, I said, yeah, that is really creepy. We're right into this too. I mean, when I go back to Hamilton, we like to do ghost hunting at certain places.
Yeah.
But because it's you say it's fun. It is fun. It's interesting to I think it gives you something to believe in.
Yeah.
After we're gone, that we're not really gone. We're just gone from this area. And I think it gives people some hope that their family members that have passed on are there and watching, and that you can talk to them, which is what a lot of ghost hunters do, right? I mean, you talk to those spirits there and hope to get a reply. And even if you don't, it could help. You just don't know. Moving them on. Now, that's another thing. Have you had any instances where you were able to do that you think you were able to move them on?
So we don't, as a team, we don't move anyone on. And the reason for that is because it's not always a guarantee, service, if you want to say. A lot of the times too, with cleansing and clearings, it's not a one and done type situation. It's ongoing, whether that's daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. And we don't want to provide anybody any false hope that we've gotten rid of whatever was bothering them.
Sometimes it would have to be, well, I'm thinking it would have to be like a psychic or medium that would do something like that, because they're a little more experienced at it, and they're more in tune than saying somebody that's like, what did you call yourselves? You know a little bit about, like, you're tuned into what's going on.
Mm.
They are a little more in depth, I would think. Right?
And again, it would all depend as well. Like we've seen some psychics and some mediums who are amazing, and then we've also seen ones who will scam people out of money without a thought in the world, right? We've come across all sorts of things that, you know, if it's going to come down to cleansing or clearing your house, your location, yourself, we always tell everyone to do their homework and choose what their gut is telling them is the right, and don't don't spend $5,000 on potions for silly things, because no,
No,
that's just fake.
that would like being Winchester. Right? I mean, look at the money she spent doing things to her house, which really she didn't need to. Somebody was just scamming her with a lot of money.
Yeah.
And didn't do her any good, did it?
No.
You know,
Yeah, look where I got her, eh?
yeah. She's just got one weird looking.
Yep.
Making a lot of money in tourists, which now that would be an interesting place to see.
Oh, for sure.
Not so much for the spirit aspect of it, but just because it's amazing that somebody would believe it so much that they would change their life so much for it.
Yeah.
And it's too bad that people would have scammed her that way.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
I know when you go to some of these paranormal, what do you call it? Like you know, there's a whole bunch of them at one spot, like anyway.
Psychic fair.
Yeah, kind of like that. A spiritual fair. There are a lot there that are scammers, and they tell you exactly what they want to hear, and like what you want to hear. Now and then you get a good one. I've gone to a couple that have been pretty darn good, and then I've gone to a couple that it's like basic stuff. Well, you know, yeah. You know, this is going to happen. I mean, it's inevitable. But then you get some that are really, really good, really tuned into what's happening in your life. And it isn't even so much saying what's going to happen, what has happened, and validate that they do know what went on. That you're telling them. Those are the ones that are really good. Like John Edwards. Remember John Edwards? He used to have that.
Yeah. He is the one that was my biggest teacher of my gifts. I wasn't allowed to talk about my gifts as a child.
Yeah.
And I remember watching his show after Sally Jesse Raphael, and he was talking about the rose, and she was showing this white rose and explaining what that meant to him. And he talked about the cancer ribbon and that it was pink. And he believes that, and I just remember going, oh my gosh, I get those too. He talked about what side a spirit stands as mother or father, right? Maternal, paternal, where they stand in distances, like close, right? Sibling, parent, grandparent. Like the things that he said resonated with everything that I was seeing, as well as the floating faces, right? Like, so there were the 4 people. Actually, a place that we've done a lot of investigating at was when I was 4 or 5, was the first place that I understood that floating people or invisible people could be elsewhere. Because I had 4 that appeared, or I remember when we moved to our home from Mississauga to Markham, that's just at the age of 4, I remember them. And then we were driving by the Hillary House. So the only mall at the time was in Newmarket area. So, and I remember seeing this woman in the window and like telling my brother, and he's like, nope, I didn't see anything, right? Years later, Rachel gets us in there to investigate, and they didn't know my connection, right? So, but yes, John Edwards, Sylvia Brown, a lot of people shrug at her. She made some predictions that I could not argue. She definitely was very gifted, but yeah, John Edwards is the one that I truly would say was my biggest teacher as a gift, intuitive child growing up, not understanding what was going on.
Become psychic or get his ability. I think he said after he had pneumonia and almost died.
That's yes. Brain injuries. I have worked with people who became extremely clairvoyant after having an acquired brain injury. Comatose people often have visions in the coma of things to come, and then wake up and they're like, oh, that didn't happen. And then it does, right? So there's a lot of a lot of things. So there's this new movement out. It's a podcast called the Telepathy Tapes. And it's talking about people with autism all over the world have the ability to use telepathy. And they can connect with people all over the world. Telepathy is a gift that I use. I've worked in the developmental services sector for 28 years this June. And I have a lot of people that would be nonverbal, is what they're called. So people like me, another one of our intuitives on the team as well, has even more deeper ability to dig in with them. When I hold their hands and close my eyes, we can communicate. They can tell me exactly what they're feeling, sensing, knowing, what the problem is, and then I can connect back, never sharing a single word in front of people. So it's kind of really cool that people, and like it's all a buzz in my office, and every time it comes up, I just vacate because some colleagues know about my gifts. Another colleague of mine, her gifts are even better than mine. So we often I'll say something and she'll build on that. And that's kind of how it works when our team is together, whether it's, Kaz and I, or Jay and I, or Jay and Kaz, right? Kathy is a newer member. She has, gifts as well. When we work together, it's almost like a waterfall of flowing information. And instead of, fighting with each other, we're building on the people and the stories and confirming like, oh yeah, I'm connecting with this man and he looks like this. No way I connected. Right. So when those things happen, I think it really shows that, all different people from all different areas with all different gifts are picking up on the same thing. There's got to be something to that.
Well, yeah, because if you can, like he said, he validates that. He doesn't predict. Like whenever you've seen him, he's not saying this is what's going to happen. He's saying, okay, they're here and they're beside you, whatever. And it's a way of letting you know that everything's okay. They're gone, but everything's okay. And unfortunately, I have been to so many psychics, and I want my mom to come through, and she never, ever has. And she's been gone since 75, 76. And I've never had her come through, and it bothers me so much. And it makes me think that whoever I'm talking to don't know what the heck they're doing. Because why haven't my mother come through? And it just doesn't seem right. So I don't know. And whenever I go to like a psychic fair, or when there's been a grouping for psychic, they never come to me and say, oh, so-and-so's there looking at you or talking to you or something. Never get any kind of reading that way. It's upsetting.
What was your mom's beliefs though? Like, was your mom, would she come and haunt you? Like my girls know I'm coming. Like I'm going to be a nice ghost. I'm going to pull the sheets up, not pull them off, find your hiding, the missing keys. But like, I joke with them all the time. Like, you're going to know I'm still around. Like, whereas
I don't know if she was, because she was quite young. I don't know if she believed in a lot of this stuff because we never really talked about it. And the thing about paranormal, it's only been really widespread in the last, how many years, 30 years that they've really talked about it? Because before, you just didn't hear about it, did you?
No, Poltergeist was like the beginning. Poltergeist was kind of the first movie where, we talked to dead people. The Sixth Sign or whatever, Seven. Yeah, like, the Sixth Sense, sorry, like movie, the one with Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze. Ghost. And I remember as a child, one of the scariest things, if you remember the Ghost movie with the black like shadows moving all over the road and coming up from the sewers and stuff in that movie, because sometimes as a child, that's how I would see like black, smoky, shapy things shifting and moving. And like, that was a visual that it was like, whoa, like I've seen that before. Right. So those type of movies hit on like what the reality is for me. And since I've joined the team, Rachel, and has had so many opportunities, we've done a lot of events. And I often have children and families that, sorry, my kitten's wagging her tail in the camera, come to me because like families don't know. And I can, because I'm a social worker and I've been in, the field for so long, I can talk to them. And I remember at the Mystic Market, Rachel's nodding, there were two families that I was significantly able to help, but there was this little boy, he was like maybe 5, if not younger. And they had like kept looping and looping, and we were talking to people. So mom walks up when she sees that it's kind of empty, and she's like, so I kind of told my son you might be Ghostbusters. He wants to talk to you. So I was like, okay. So I stepped up and got down to his level, and I was like, have you ever seen a ghost? He's like, uh-huh. He's like, have you ever seen a ghost? I'm like, oh yeah, uh-huh. And he's like, with me, they're like camouflaged, like they're there and then they're camouflaged and they're gone. Well, he's 5. He's talking video game talk. I'm like, oh yeah, that happens to me too. Have you ever seen them walk through a wall and his eyes get big? He's like, uh-huh. So all of a sudden, right, I'm able to talk to this kid and make it totally normal that he's seeing things that they're not. And the little sister's playing with our equipment. Rachel's looking at her and she's got the teddy bear, but I know she's listening. Like I know she's hearing everything he's saying, right? So mom's like, oh my gosh, you just put these pieces together. We didn't really understand what was going on. And I said to her, she's going to go home and she's going to ask him what he was talking about to the lady about the camouflage people, the gray people that turn camouflage, because she sees them too.
And it's good that they're acknowledging that young kids do have this ability, because as they say, they're not, they haven't been programmed to think that there are no such thing as ghosts, because that's what we were all told when we were kids, right? No such
imaginary friends.
Yeah, no such thing as that. But kids are now telling people what they see and do, and people are believing them now, which is great, because if they've got that ability, don't let them explore. Anyway, we've run out of time. We seem to do this, and it'd be nice. We'll have you back again. You'll have to go with good stuff.
You need to find us a place in Kincardine, and we'll come investigate with you. Like you're coming along.
I told you, there's this one place here in town that is supposed to be very haunted. And it's empty right now, but there's been a lot of about it. It was a funeral home. I'll have to let you know about it, and you can look into it.
Is it not? It's not the Andrew Malcolm home.
No, it's called Madison's at one time. It was
I know it. Yeah, that Andrew Malcolm house is so haunted.
Where is that?
It's right in downtown Kincardine. It's now long-term care.
Malcolm. It is not a long-term care anymore, or it's it's apartments.
Oh,
yeah, but I do know what you're talking about now. Anyway, we gotta go. And so it's been great talking to you guys again. It's always so interesting. Yeah, next time I'm gonna bring some pictures of what you got or something.
Yeah.
And we'll have your information up on the screen. Awesome. And take care, guys. And for you guys at home, look into this Paranormal Seekers. They got a website, Facebook and all that. Have a look at what's on there and just enjoy,
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
These days at your local Legion, we're marching to the beat of a different drum. On a mission to support veterans, to have fun, and to welcome everyone to our ranks. You don't have to be a veteran to join the Legion. And as a member, you'll join thousands of others serving our veterans, our communities, and our country. Oh yeah, and our Member Perks program will save you thousands on shopping, dining, products, and services across the country. Join us at legion.ca.
Hi, I'm David Shearman, host of Politically Speaking on Rogers TV. Join me this fall for more